What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean Peter Blanc. Aye! And we are back with another Berserk chapter read through. Today we will be reading chapter 11, if I recall. Chapter 11. And if you're reading this through like the literature or through the book, this is chapter 3 of the Golden Age arc. So it depends on what you're reading on, right? The app that I use, this is chapter 10. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. And also leave a comment on what you thought of this video and the chapter as well. Also follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And join the Discord. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So, we got a cover page. It says the Golden Age, chapter 3. We see what looks to be a young Guts with a prisoner type helmet, right? Like a helmet with a lock on it. So look like some type of punishment, right? Like, I don't know if this is kind of a glimpse from what happened in the last chapter. Last chapter after he kills Gambino. So this might be his punishment. I'll kind of assume if this is any indication of what is to come of this chapter, but let's get into it. So we see Gambino with a sword through his neck. And we see the young Guts holding the sword, you know, looking in disbelief. Gambino's coughing up blood. And he says, you, Gambino still talking, you killed Shisu. This guy's pretty tough. If you can still talk with a sword in your neck, I mean, I guess if you still, like, anybody could still have the ability to talk with a sword through their neck, but still going to die. And then he pretty much falls over on Guts, and they like go through a table. So we see like the lantern with the candle in it in Guts's tent. It falls over, and the flame ignites on like the cloth of the tent, and we see this fire starting in the tent, and we see Gambino's dead body laying on Guts. Looks like Guts takes his sword out of the neck and escapes from under Gambino's dead body, and he looks pretty shocked. I'm pretty sure he's traumatized from this now. Guts like kneeling over Gambino's dead body, and Gambino's pretty much dead, blood spilling from his neck. And Gus says, Gambino? And then he grabs his face to try to wake him up, but his eyes are like rolled over in the back of his head. And then we see a bunch of the mercenaries running towards his tent. They say, a tent's on fire. Night raid. It's Guts' tent. And then they open the tent and they see Guts over Gambino's dead body, and they look at the blood coming from his neck, and then they see Guts's hand with the sword in it trembling. So they kind of put two and two together, like, oh, he killed Gambino. And to them, Gambino's the leader, and Guts killed to them, they don't know the aspect. They don't know that Gambino came in this guy's tent or this kid's tent and tried to kill him. They just see this kid with Gambino's dead body, you know. Gambino, their ex-leader. So, you know, they might not take this too well. That's why I think that cover page in the beginning can be an indication of what's to come for Guts. Because they might look at Guts like, yo, you murdered Gambino. You know, they ain't gonna look at why is Gambino in your tent and he's dead. Maybe they might see that Gambino had a sword with him, so maybe he could have attacked. I don't know, but let's see. They say, Guts, you. The three guys say, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Did you kill him, Guts? And Guts is looking shocked. You know, he's pretty traumatized from this. And he says, damn you, answer me. And then he swings his sword at Guts's head. I don't know if he's like actually trying to kill him. I think he might be just putting the sword to his neck. But Guts like dodges the swing and cuts the guy on the arm, like on his bicep. The guy yells out in pain. Guts is looking at what he just done. The two other guys charge to Guts and they says, "You little creep." Guts says, "Wait a sec, I didn't." And then he blocks a swing from one of the guys and he manages to evade in between them two. So he runs out the tent. They say, "Get back here." So the tent is fully engulfed in these flames and Guts escapes the tent and the two other guys are still in the tent and the tent collapses on these two guys. And they said, "Oh, damn it." So Guts runs towards a horse and he's thinking to himself, why? Why is this happening? We see him on top of the horse charging away. He knows what's about to happen. Like, everybody's just going to assume that he killed Gambino. So he's pretty much public enemy number one to this camp of mercenaries at this point. Or he will be. Especially if the three guys who found him survive. So yeah, the three guys managed to escape the tent, and more of the mercenaries are coming over. They say, "What's going on? Gambino was murdered." They say what? What? A night raid? And then the guy who Guts cut his arm, he says, "It was Guts. Guts went and killed Gambino." You're kidding me. What the hell? And he says, "Nah, it's true. This is the thanks that bastard gave him after living under his roof some 10 years. Think about it. Gambino was practically a father to him." See, they don't know the full situation. They don't know the full situation. It wasn't, this man came into Gambino, he came into Guts' tent. Tried to kill him. What is Gambino doing in Guts' tent? Like, did y'all ask yourself that? Why is Gambino in the tent, and why does he have a sword with him? They're not investigators, so I can't expect them to be able to deduce things like this, you know? They're just some old school mercenaries, you know? They're not detectives. The guy says, "And he damn well slaughtered him. He's a father killer." Guys talking to each other confused, but why? He looked after him, didn't he? Guess it was too much of a burden Gambino with his injury. Anyway, men who kill their fellows get hanged. We can't let him go. And then the guy with the cut arm says, "We shouldn't have ever picked him up 11 years ago under that tree." He's thinking when they say he's an evil omen, a cursed kid who's nothing but bad luck. We see it's raining. Guts is trying to cover his face. And the mercenaries, a group of mercenaries manage to catch up to Guts. So yeah, we see these heavily armored mercenaries with crossbows and swords on horseback. And Guts looks to be at the edge of a cliff. So he's at a dead end. And he looks back and they're shooting at him. And that's when he gets the cliff. I kind of jumped the gun with the cliff. Now he's at the end of the cliff. He's at a dead end. So we see one of the mercenaries line Guts in his sights with the crossbow. And he shoots. And the crossbow goes through Guts's back. Pretty much piercing him. Penetrating his back. Because we see the blood coming out of the front. He pretty much collapsed off the horse and falls down the cliff. Guys ask, "Did you get him?" "Yeah, I saw him, jerk. Any case, ain't no way he lived from this high up." Guy opens his helmet and he says, "Phew. But Gambino can't rest in peace now." We see it's raining, see lightning in the background, and the mercenaries are pretty much leaving. Job has been done. We see the bottom of the cliff and how dark it is, so we don't really know what happened with Guts just yet. Now, of course, he didn't die, but we don't know what he's fated to, what saved him, or how he managed to survive. So we kind of cut to seeing the night sky. Think it's still raining. Look, it looked like it might be snowing, honestly. And we see Guts' body with his sword next to him laying in what was to be like a pool of water. And he's coughing, cough. And he's thinking, it's like it's not even my own body. I can't move. We see his eyes are like watery, and then they open up wide. We get a double page spread, and we just see the night, all the stars, and like the sky is just clear of clouds, all the stars. We see the moon light, and Guts is just looking up. A really beautiful double page spread. So Guts has this arrow or this bolt sticking through his right side, so it doesn't seem that fatal. It's not like it hit him in the heart, and I'm pretty sure if it hit him in the heart, he wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have survived. I don't think he would have survived. He's still looking up at the moon, and then he starts to move his hand, and he picks himself up. He's on his knee, gripping his shoulder. I'm surprised he managed to be able to get up. I would think some bones would be broken. One, he has this arrow in his chest, and then two, he fell off a cliff. So, like, what cushioned that fall? Is it the fact he fell in water? Because I would think that water would need to be a little deeper in order for him to, survive without any broken bones and any sufficient injuries. But this is some very shallow water, so I don't know what cushioned that fall to where he can still move. We see Guts dragging his sword behind him with his left arm. His right side is hurting with that arrow in him. And it's probably good that he doesn't take it out just yet, because if he does, then the blood loss will be even more extreme, especially if he doesn't get patched up. He says, "I'm cold. I lost too much blood while I was out. 2 broken ribs." He's walking. He says, "Where am I going anyway? It would have been easier just to lie there and die like that. There be nothing anymore. Here there's only bad stuff." Then he says, "So where?" We just see like the night sky with all the stars in front of him, ahead of him. So we see some wolves. We see like a group of wolves just staring at Guts, looking like they might see him as their next meal. Man, this the stuff Guts be going through, even as a kid, god dang, bro. God dang. This man was almost killed by Gambino. The same night he pretty much had to kill, the man he looked at as a father. Not because he wanted to kill him, but for self-protection. The other guy just seen him as him killing their former leader, and so they go after him. One of them managed to shoot him with a bow. Then he falls down a cliff. He has to get up with this arrow in his right chest and 2 broken ribs, and now he's walking. He don't know where to go, because like, where do you go? Where do you go? Now he has wolves on his tail. Now they don't look super vicious in this photo. They don't look like they're looking at him as a male, but they look pretty calm, right? They look pretty calm, but I'm pretty sure just because they look calm don't mean that they don't see this kid as an easy target. So one of the wolves howl, like, woo! And then they charge at Guts, and Guts just stands there waiting for him to charge. I think he just kind of accepts death at this point. He says, "It's over. Over. This is it." He doesn't look like he's about to resist this whole situation. Then he just lifts up his sword, and one of the wolves just managed to, get impaled by the sword. He just charges. He just jumps into the sword. And Guts says, "Eh?" Like, he can't believe he's doing this. It's almost like he's doing this automatically, but on instinct. Like, he was going to accept death, but his body's just moving on his own. Another wolf tries to jump on Guts as the other one's body is laying over Guts, and he does the same thing. Then the other wolves have him surrounded, and Guts manages to get himself out of being under them 2 wolves, and he picks himself up, and he's panting. And we see Guts with tears in his eyes, and another wolf charges at Guts, and he swings and slices the wolf across the face. And Guts is crying. He says, "Oh, oh." And all the other wolves are now charging. I think it's 2 other wolves that are charging that haven't been sliced. Guts stabs one of the wolves in the face and slices his whole mouth open. And then we still see two wolves look as that one wolf that got his mouth sliced open falls to the ground. I'm assuming they're going to look at it like, look, we can't win this fight. We're not winning this fight against this kid. And Guts is standing there worn out at this point. Bruh, Kid Guts is still a pretty tough dude, man. He a tough dude, bro. Like, he's a good fighter. Just as a kid. As a kid, he was going into them battles. He killed like an enemy general at one point, right? An enemy leader. And that's when he brought that money back for Gambino. And Gambino had that dog and was, oh, get meat, whatever. So he was very capable at this age. He's very capable. And when the three soldiers came into his tent after he killed Gambino, which killing Gambino, even though Gambino was a one-legged guy at this point, so, you know, he was a little less maneuverable. He still managed to kill Gambino. And then when one of the guys swung at him with his sword, he managed to cut his arm, hold the two other guys off, and then escape through him. And now, with an arrow in his right chest, he's taking on a pack of wolves. He's taking on a pack of wolves. Come on now. Bruh. Guts has a lot of guts for sure. He is a tough guy. He's a tough guy. Even as a kid, he's a tough kid. You know, so a tough kid is going to grow up to be a tough guy. So Guts is looking with tears in his eyes at these wolves. The wolves, you know, they retreat, they run away, they realize this is a losing battle. He done killed a bunch of their other camp comrades. Ain't no point in losing. Animals could be smart as well. They know when to hold them. They know when to fold them. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. You know, just like that old school song. And then Guts is standing there, and it looked like he's about to collapse on his feet. Guts falls to the ground with his sword next to him, and then he looks and he says, "Gambino," and we see like a caravan of people approaching, and he's laid out on the ground. These look like some soldiers, and they rush out to his body and they say, "Hey, look, he's just a kid. Is he alive? Yeah, but he's in pretty bad shape. Did he kill all these wolves? No way." And then they say, "Either way, he's got good luck getting found by us in the middle of the wilderness. Good luck with mercenaries like us." Oh yeah, Angus was saying he needed another man in the squad. Then one says, "Still though, what happened? In our room? Who knows? Maybe he's a runaway slave. World's a strange place." We see like the scenes kind of fading out. Guts is thinking, Gambino. We see a flashback with Guts running towards Gambino with his sword. Then we see like a flash of light. We get a double page spread and we see a bunch of warriors, probably this group of mercenaries. They're invading what looks to be like castle walls or like maybe city walls. I'm not too sure. But they're sieging. They're sieging like a town or a castle or something. And it says, 4 years later. It's a lot of men. So we see the front gate, or I'm assuming it's the front gate, gets smashed through by a ram. And then we see a guy on horseback and he says, "Go, make your way through. Whoever brings me the general's head gets all the reward he wants." I'm assuming this might be Angus, that guy they were talking about. The mercenaries that saved Guts. This might be that group that saved him doing a siege. And the guy leading the pack is probably most likely Angus. We see all these mercenaries running through the town walls, and I guess some of the soldiers of the town going to protect the town. And we see guys getting thrown around, getting slashed. One guy get his whole jawbone like ripped off. Like his jaw gets ripped off of his face. So we see this big, heavily armored guy. I'm assuming that's the guy who threw some of the soldiers around and took the one guy's jaw off. But he's like heavily armored with a big I want to say it's a one-handed axe. It looked like it'd be a one-handed axe, but he's holding it with two hands. Like, I'm pretty sure he swings it with one. But you see blood on the axe head, the blade of the axe. And some guy says, it's Bazuso, the Gray Knight Bazuso. And then he's standing over the guy whose face is ripped off, and all you see is like the guy's jaw and teeth and tongue, but the rest of his head is ripped off. And they're talking to each other. They say, you mean the Bazuso who killed 30 men at once? I heard he killed a bear unarmed. And the guy on the horseback says, what happened to the archers? And they say, they're still outside the castle gate. And Bazuso says, no one's going to get past me. Anyone who wants their head smashed in, step right up. And then the mercenaries are talking among themselves. What are you waiting for? Defeat him and make yourself famous, says the leader on the horse. You call yourselves knights. Charge. And the mercenary says, easy for him to say, I'm just a merc. Let him do it himself. And then the leader looks, is shocked, and he says, unbelievable. And then we see what looks to be a much older Guts. The leader says, oh. And we see what I'm assuming is Guts, because the helmet from earlier that we seen, which I thought was like a prisoner type helmet. He's like gripping his sword, walking forward. We see an armored Guts standing there, gripping his sword behind his back still, in front of two other mercenaries. It's pretty much a full page spread. Oh, that man Guts, look at him like, yo, I got this. I got this. Y'all leave this up to me. Y'all ain't got it. Y'all could be little cowards. I'm good. I got this. When y'all picked me up, I fought. I killed a bunch of wolves. So now, I'm going to show y'all. We get a close up the Guts in his helmet. And somebody said, who's that? Looks like a merc. Pretty young. Hey, look at that sword. So this might be, I wonder if this is his first battle with this new mercenary group. Unless that's, that might be the guards of the town, like the soldiers of the town talking, matter of fact. We see like Guts from behind with his cape. Somebody said, good grief, it's downright huge. Is that kid going to swing that long thing around? And one of them said, little punk showing off. The fool's going to get himself killed. One of the mercs said, lad, are you saying you'll defeat Bazuso? And I think Guts says, how much? Then the leader on the horseback says, what? Then Gus says, for Metalhead here, the 30-man killer or whatever. And then Gus says, I'm a merc. Unlike you knights, I can't live on glory. I get paid. Got it? And the guy on the horseback says, very well. In the event you manage to kill him, I'll give you 5 pieces of gold. So hold on. I'm a little confused. I don't know if this is the group that Guts works with. You know, because it seems like he's been with him for a while now, so I would think they would know what Guts look like. But these guys act like they have no clue who this kid is. So is this like a different like warrior group? Maybe like another kingdom invading another kingdom and they hire mercenaries or something? I don't know. I'm a little confused. I thought this was the same mercenary group that saved him though. Guts says 10. The guy on the horseback says 7 and not one more. And then Gus says, oh, well, bah. And Gus is just standing there. And Bazuso says, huh? You'll regret this, kid. Getting your head knocked off for 7 gold coins. A greenhorn brat like you on the battlefield must mean your side is running out of proper soldiers. Or are they cowards who hide in the shadows of children? We see Guts going for an attack. And you don't even see his right arm. It's just kind of like, you know, moving so fast. Like, I guess he's bringing this sword up. And he charges into Bazuso. And Bazuso says, what? I think Guts is bringing his sword up over his head. But it looked like he sliced him. It looked like he sliced him like straight in the middle. So Guts is just attacking. He's attacking so fast. You hardly keep up with what he's doing. And the other soldier says, so fast. How can he attack that fast? He's just like beating at the guy's axe and his armor as well. And Bazuso's trying to stand firm, like trying to keep his feet firm into the ground. And somebody says, look, Bazuso's being pushed back. Bezuso says, huh? And he lifts up his sword and goes in for a swing. So does Guts. And we see Guts' blade clash with Bezuso's blade. And it looks like his blade actually manages to cut through the axe blade of Bezuso. So now we see Guts' blade in the axe blade of Bezuso, and it's cracking. And Bezuso says, what the? And we see Guts going in for another swing. He says, woo. And then Guts charges in, and Bezuso looks shocked and scared. he knows he's about to die. Bezuso actually goes in for a swing as well with his axe, and he catches Guts on the head, but his axe blade breaks when it hits Guts in the head. And Bezuso looks shocked. Guts' helmet comes off. Guts manages to pierce through Bezuso's armor, like on his side. Like he cuts through the armor. And we see Bezuso bleeding from the side where Guts cut him at, and blood is just squirting. And everybody looks in shock. We see Bezuso drop to his knee. Now we see Guts going for the finishing kill. And Bezuso says, wait. He's like retreating. And then Guts just slices him through the head. And we see Bezuso's right eye just coming out of the eye socket. And his head is just split open, squirting blood. And then he lifts up his sword and says, woo. Now Guts is just standing there with his sword over his shoulder, over Bezuso's dead body. And that was the Golden Age 3 end. Okay, so that was a very enjoyable chapter. Went real fast. So, we start off with the aftermath of Gambino's death. After Guts pretty much kills Gambino, Gambino's body is over him in a lamp with a candle, and it falls over, and the candle engulfs the tent in fire. And seeing this fire, or noticing this fire, 3 of the mercenaries rush over to Guts' tent just to see what's happening. They're thinking, hey, this might be a night raid. Is Guts safe? Whatever. They go into Guts' tent, and they see Guts sitting over Gambino's body, and they're like, hey, what the hell happened? Guts, you killed Gambino. They see Guts with the sword with blood, and they see the sword, or they see blood coming from Gambino's neck. So they're like, what happened? What you do, Guts? One of the guys go over to Guts and say, what happened? And Guts, in shock, he doesn't answer right away. So he swings his sword at Guts. Guts manages to cut the guy on the arm, and then, try to get away. The other 2 guys are trying to stop him, and they try to attack Guts, but Guts manages to defend them off and then escapes. Grabs a horse, leave. The guys in the camp are talking among themselves, confused with what happened. They say, hey, Guts killed his father. He's a father murderer. He must die for this. Father murderers should be hung. And they catch up to Guts, which I'm kind of confused because they managed to put all this armor on and still catch up to Guts, who has like this head start. They catch up to him. They shoot Guts with a crossbow, manage to pierce him in the shoulder, and Guts falls down off a little cliff. And, they retreat. They think they got Guts. They like, he couldn't have survived that. So they retreat back. Guts manages to get up after all that. And then he's walking. Don't know where to go, but he's just walking somewhere. Then a pack of wolves see him as a meal. And they charge at Guts. But Guts manages to fend off all these wolves despite being injured and wounded. And then he collapses after the fight, and then he gets picked up by another group of mercenaries who say that they need a new this guy named Agus needs more soldiers or whatever. So we cut to a siege that's going on with an unknown group in an unknown town. I don't know if that's the group of mercenaries or another maybe army invading this town. and maybe they hired mercenaries. I'm not sure, but they managed to successfully siege and break through the town, and now they're going into town fighting off warriors. We get this big dude named Bazuzo who was causing the invading army trouble, and then that's when Guts shows up and like, hey, I'll fight this guy. Just pay me. And they're like, okay, we'll pay you silver. We'll pay you or not silver. We'll pay you 7 pieces of gold. Guts try to negotiate with 10, but I guess he had to settle for 7. He ends up killing this guy, and that's pretty much the chapter. Great chapter. Great chapter. We see a little growth from Guts. Guts got a little older. Now Guts was tough. Before he got picked up by this new mercenary group, he was already tough. We seen. Now he's coming into his own where he could really hold himself. Where he's confidently fighting like tough guys who all these other soldiers were scared to fight. So now we're starting to see some real growth in Guts's fighting skill. So yeah, and it was, I know Guts probably traumatized from what happened with Gambino, but he still has to continue going on with life at this point. So, all right, y'all, make sure y'all go hit that like button and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Also, follow me on Twitch if you want to catch me live. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also join the Discord. All of these will be in the description box below. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this chapter. Let me know what you think of the read through. Just let me know. Engage. Anyway, y'all, it's your boy Sean P. the Bluff God, and I'm out of here. Peace.